Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Catholic Education Foundation podcast number 51. This podcast will feature Katie Rogers. She is the Chief Administrative Officer of Norton's Women's and Children's Hospital, and as always, along with Catholic Education Foundation President Rich Lecklider. Thank you guys for being here.
Well, thank you so much. And Katie, thank you for right in the middle of a busy day for you being here with us. Thank you.
Oh, no, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
First of all, Katie, congratulations.
Thank you.
So you were just selected to be one of our 6 distinguished Catholic school graduates who are going to be honored at the upcoming Salute to Catholic School Alumni Dinner here on March 10th. What a cool honor.
A very exciting honor, and when I looked back historically to see those that have been honored in the past, it's definitely
it's a list.
It's a list. That, I thought, man, I have run into these people all over the community who are helping lead things, so it's been an honor to be invited to that group.
So, Rich, for our listeners that don't know, in March of every year, we love to feature one of our Salute honorees to showcase, the many benefits and blessings that our local Catholic schools bestow on their students. And we're thrilled that Katie is here with us today to kind of give us that insight. So thank you. Before we get to Salute, let's introduce you to our audience. Katie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your family and how you got started in Catholic schools?
Okay, so Catholic schools really, as far as it relates to me, started before I was ever born.
Okay.
Both my parents are from the South End. My mom was a graduate of St. Thomas More. My dad was a graduate of St. John Vianney. Mm-hmm. And then he went on to the seminary at St. Thomas and then St. Meinrad. And once he graduated from there and chose to remain lay person, he began at teaching.
So the idea was he was going to be a priest.
He was going to be a priest, which if you ask him, all but one male in his class graduating from grade school at that time went on to St. Thomas. So
wow.
This was not uncommon at the time. And he got an education degree at St. Meinrad and then went into teaching at St. Cecilia, which is now Good Shepherd. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit in my history there. And then he also taught at St. Thomas More. And that's where he met my mom.
Okay.
She was picking up her sister from school there one day. And our history goes from there. They then moved to the Highlands, and we grew up in the parish of St. Agnes.
Oh, awesome.
And so I graduated from St. Agnes School in 1989. 2 of my siblings, there were 4 of us, close in age, under the age of 6. We had 4 under the age of 6, and 2 of them did spend some time at Meredith Dunn and then went on to graduate at Holy Family. But my parents were really dynamic. They believed, each child was unique and whatever they could find to offer us to get us what we needed in education and support, they went on and did that. So we were just really lucky to have other schools outside of even our parish school that were a good fit for them. Mm-hmm. And then we went on to high school, and I'm going to stay with that dynamic theme. 4 siblings, 4 different Catholic high schools. My oldest brother went to St. Agnes. My youngest brother went to Trinity, and I went to Mercy, and my sister went to Presentation. So,
wow. Yeah. All over the gap. So you said St. Agnes. You mean St. X?
St. X.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Wow, 4 different high schools.
You guys, almost had the, it wouldn't be the trifecta, but you guys almost got all of them there. That's wild.
Yeah, it was my sister and I played and competed in sports against each other, so my parents would switch sides of the gym during halftime, so it was really great.
What sports?
Cross country, basketball, tennis. To this day, we used to say, I'm pretty sure I won that race, but neck and neck right to the finish line.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's great.
Well, you just mentioned Mercy, and I know Mercy is very proud that you're a graduate from there. Talk to us about your high school journey and how it helped shape you.
So kind of back to how I picked it, my family's everything, and I think also, that resides with Catholic education, community, and family. My parents said, pick a place that you can get to on the TARC bus. Okay, it didn't matter to them. They wanted it to be a good fit, and I really had a hard time deciding. There was no one from St. Agnes that was going to Mercy, but the minute I stepped on foot there and did a shadow visit, I knew something was unique and different about that place, and it stayed that way. Really, and even when I go back and visit today, I think some of that same magic is there. I felt when I walked through the door that a sense of maturity or being an adult kicked in. And I didn't necessarily have that same feeling at the other schools. And I can't put my place on it exactly. It was in the urban setting at that time.
Yeah, downtown on Broadway.
I loved being downtown and the old building. But even the faculty were unique and a little bit from more of a diverse background. At that time, from Providence High School, they had inherited several staff members there that were phenomenal teachers and administrators. And so they brought a little bit of a different flavor to the school. And then Mary Boyce was the principal at the time, and she was just a class act. And from a female leader, she was present, strong. So I really attached to that. But yeah, so no, it was out of the gate the right fit for me. When my daughter, I have a daughter that's in St. Louis right now in college, and when she was trying to decide between high schools, I had her shadow everywhere twice. We're at Holy Trinity Parish now. And she chose Mercy, and it almost the same reaction that I had. So I know that has remained the same. And the way that her leadership and her style of where she developed, it almost was like looking at myself years later.
That's
30 years
fantastic.
later. We graduated 30 years apart from each other. So.
And we all have these high school stories and how it shaped you. And it's really cool to hear a Mercy one, Rich.
Well, I think, and you remember the old campus down on Broadway. It was tight. That's tight living down there, okay, back in the day. And Mike Johnson and several leaders relocated that school, I guess, 20 years ago or so. And if it's an awesome campus
beautiful.
Day on
It's beautiful.
It's awesome. But I'll say this, as far as I can tell, just as an observer, that the culture has been maintained quite well in the new location. And there are over 500 girls in that school today.
Oh, yeah.
It's booming.
Yeah, they're doing great.
Yeah, they're doing great.
It was unique because the infirmary was within in the walls of it. And so you had to walk through, and then there was a moment of reverence and silence when you were in that hallway.
Okay.
And I really think from a formative, you look back and you don't think of what you're learning from this, but really style and grace, and it's all the things they tell you that you're going to get when you graduate from there, and it was true.
Yeah, it was adjacent to the old St. Anthony Hall.
Okay.
Yeah, on Baxter there. Yeah.
Before my time. Listen, I know the new Mercy is fantastic, but
it is. Yeah, it was an upgrade, but I still like the old building.
well, fair enough. Yeah. Hey, so Katie, you're right in the middle of an amazing career in healthcare. So did that start in high school?
Actually, it did at the time, and you're seeing some of this come back as we've had shortages in healthcare. Mercy had connected with Jewish Hospital at the time, and they were offering, you could be 16 years old to go get a job there, and they would then you could opt into like a scholarship, apply for a scholarship that Jewish would pay for. So, of course, Mercy encouraged any of us to do this. They kind of supported us, just like we see in most of our Catholic high schools, where you're really growing the whole person. And they kind of stuck their neck out there and said, "Hey, why don't you do this? You've got great scholastic aptitude in the healthcare and the science division. So why don't you do this?" And that's really where it started. At 16, I started working there after school.
So they kind of pushed you down that route. The right teachers, the right administrators saw your skills and pushed you down that route.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Gotta love that.
Now, I will say they did put me on the nursing track. Maybe I would have gone to medical school. I don't know.
Okay.
I have zero regrets.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a little bit of the schooling. So your educational resume is incredible. So after Mercy, take us through the different academic endeavors that you have pursued.
Yeah, I think I was, I lived off Newburgh Road, went to St. Agnes. Then I thought, let's just keep traveling downtown on Newburgh Road to Mercy, and then let's just turn around and go back to Bellarmine. So I think it was just like apply and got it. Anyway, at the time, Bellarmine, Lansing School of Nursing had not kicked off. It was only a few years. They had probably the best nursing school from reputation in the city and out probably into the state if you look at some of their output from that. So I applied to Bellarmine, joined their nursing school, phenomenal program. I look back and I think liberal arts education. I had Father Hendrickson, Father Zoller, Father Cruz, some of the people that probably many people know, ultimate questions and things that helped kind of formulate and develop my personality of what it is today. Also, lots of opportunities. I don't know if you guys know Bob Lockhart. He's a local artist.
If you
go through the zoo, you see some of his sculptures and stuff. He was a professor at the time I was there at Bellarmine, and he was commissioned to El Salvador. This was right after their civil war ended, and he was doing a sculpture of Jesus in their cathedral. And so, like, I got to go visit with a group of faculty and do stuff like that. So you just think, we were talking earlier about small schools and really what you can get from that. There was a lot of great opportunity there at Bellarmine. From there, I went on to Spalding and got my nurse practitioner license. This was after I practiced for several years at the bedside. I decided I wanted to advance my degree and really further take care of patients.
Basically a doctor, right? That's just a step below.
It's close. Yeah, it's close. I mean, it's a devotion, and it definitely allows you to prescribe and advance and be a good partner to a physician in a practice. Spalding was a great program. And then from there, I also went and did a primary care and an acute care through the University of Kentucky. Outside of traditional education, I have done some fellowships in healthcare. I was able to participate in GE Academy, did some work up at West Point, did some training at Buffalo, the University of New York in Buffalo for surgery, and really have worked with healthcare administrators across the country, driving, next best in class healthcare for our patients. And then probably the last thing that's unique that a lot of people don't necessarily have the opportunity is when you get into clinical practice, you really have to tap into talent across the country.
Sure.
And health has changed and innovation has changed, the use of robotics and surgical procedures. And so I was just blessed to work with a physician and a surgeon, and we were able to have top-tier surgeons across the country take us under their wing at Duke and WashU and University of Alabama.
Awesome.
And so I've been able to do some of that training too. So
Man.
Really great. Yeah.
Been around a little bit, Katie. That's fantastic.
There's no place like the OR. There's no place like
that's where you learn.
Yep.
Well, and I'm curious, so obviously with your Catholic roots, how has your Catholic education and your Catholic faith impacted your life to this point?
I would say the number one thing is when I enter a room or a problem, or I have 2,000 people that kind of roll up to me right now, really my outlook is on like the common good of the people I'm working with or what I am trying to achieve.
Okay.
And so I think that comes from our Catholic faith. We enter in and we are here to do better for ourselves and for others. And so that is just rooted. I do think Catholic education and faith is unique, and it provides a person or human being with a foundation that is seriously lacking in today's world, just with social media and people are displaced. People don't live in communities like they used to. And I do believe Catholic education and faith and your community at your church does give you that as you go and branch out and share. The other thing that was interesting, because I was thinking through this, I have to take a lot of risks at work. I had to take a lot of risks with clinically based things. We're trying to do the right thing for the patient, but it's not always clear. Or at work when you have to decide what's the best thing for everyone. And when I think back, we sat in classes and we learned about the people that came before us and the saints and all the things that were done and the risks that people have taken to get where they need to go.
Sure.
And I can't help but believe that probably gives us a little bit more courage in knowing that a lot of people have done hard things. Doing hard things is not impossible. So teamwork, I really believe, love athletics, huge athletic person, but I think that's also something that we got from our education.
What a cool perspective. Rich, I say this about all of them, but man, we picked a really good one here to be honored at the Salute.
Yeah, we're super proud of Katie and her family, and we'll learn more about them in a minute and some of the other honorees. And this is the place, sort of the one time a year that we can really showcase not only our Catholic schools, but sort of the product of our Catholic schools, like Katie and some others. And time again, I think it's a resounding message. This Catholic school system is the best. It really, really works no matter where you come from socioeconomically. It doesn't matter. And what it creates for you is this life-changing experience that you'll never lose. You'll never forget it.
That's
Nobody
right.
can take it away from you.
That's right.
It's powerful.
So, Katie, I see this. I see Chief Administrative Officer of Norton's Women's and Children's Hospital. So your work began in 1997, and your work resume is just impressive as your education resume. How did you get there? How did you get here to where you are today?
So I believe in what I like to tell MAs, medical assistants. I started a program at Norton, and I would sit them down and say, you're graduating from this. Get really good at this before you do the next thing, okay? And so I would say I have a career of where I basically, what I was given at the time or the job I was given or I chose, I was going to do it as excellent as I could. And that's probably something I also would have said is an attribute you get from Catholic school is how do I become my most excellent person?
Yeah.
So clinical practice, loved it. There is nothing, when we have a new group of employees come in, I tell them, look, we are honored to have people let us into their lives in some of the most difficult periods of their life. And so that we should cherish that. And really, every patient that I took care of over the years gave to me just as much as I did when I was taking care of them. And I think if you have that spirit and you move, it just things open up for you. So love to advance it. Clinically was in thoracic surgery with a surgeon, worked for a very long time. We had the busiest practice in multiple state range. I think that doesn't go unrecognized.
Right.
And then people keep tapping you on the shoulder and they say, hey, you've done such a great job. Would you please step up and help us lead other people in that direction? When Charlotte Ibsen transitioned to a position at Norton and the women's and children's position came open, they said, we would love it if you would take this on. And it was always my favorite place to clinically practice. The minute I walked in the building, the medical staff supported each other, patients, everyone was happy. And I'm like, this is a place where I would love to lead that team. So that's where I am today. I also do teach on the side, though.
Okay.
Comment about that. I teach at most of the local programs. I try to keep my hand in it.
That's awesome.
If you don't know how young people are acting today, and I'm not that old, but it's best to stay in.
Yeah. Fantastic.
To understand, because I can better serve them as their leader if I understand where they're coming from.
I love. I feel the same way about coaching. Being around the youth just keeps you youthful and just keeps you finger on the pulse a little bit.
Yes, it does.
That's fantastic. Listen, and Rich, you know this all too well. The healthcare business is no easy place to work. So, Katie, what are some of the attributes that you've developed through your Catholic education that and you mentioned a few of these, but that have helped you be successful?
Yeah, I would say just strong work ethic, integrity, also recognizing the good. I think this is that's not necessarily an attribute, but I believe, when we sat in school as a young person, it was like, we have a problem, how are we going to fix it?
Right.
Someone who has less than us or needs our help or generosity is present, you lean in, you don't lean out. So I think that has definitely helped support me in my career. And again, it hasn't gone unrecognized, and I can't take credit for it. It's really years in the making through all of my education.
So, Rich, Katie may highlight it, but there's some great names on the list this year. So let's take a little minute to talk about the upcoming Salute Dinner and what it means to the foundation.
Yeah, thanks. It's our 36th annual event. Our first event, 1990, believe it or not, attracted a couple hundred guests. We lost $25,000.
Right.
And, that was the launch, and that's that was a bold endeavor at the time.
Sure.
Which Archbishop Kelly launched, and from there, it was sort of a showcase event. It really wasn't a fundraiser as much to showcase our schools and our alums.
Okay.
And Phil McHugh came along in the 1990s and early 2000s and really sort of took this thing to a whole new level. He was the board chair for many years and it became a fundraiser. And I think in 2010, that was our 20-year anniversary. I think we netted $200,000.
Okay.
Which is a lot of money.
Heck yeah.
At anybody's house, right? And Phil just kind of launched this thing on its own trajectory. And I think last year, which was our 35th event, we netted $1.7 million from this event, a record. And this year, we hope to break that record. We're working hard to do it. And really, people ask me sometimes, why do you have to break every record every year? What's the deal with that? And the answer is we have to do it. It's a necessity because the demand for what we do goes up every year. It never goes down.
Right.
So tuition assistance demand, we know before we're done with our process for next fall, it's going to be higher than this year. So the Salute Dinner is a really critical event for us to be able to do that for students and their family the following fall. So we're super excited. Look, we got a great list of honorees. In addition to Katie, we've got Diane Gayhafer from Assumption, who serves on the foundation board and is an executive at Wasteology, a local company here in Louisville. Mike Proudest is the CEO of a company called Bramco, which is a heavy machinery distributor here. He's the fourth generation leader of that company. David Cook from St. X is a member of St. X's board, a very successful career in his family business. It was sold a few years ago, and now he's on a different track today, which is part of which is he's very big into philanthropy and helping others. We'll talk about that. Jody Myman, a lot of people in this town know Jody as the director of emergency services. Jody's been a very busy boy the last several months between the UPS tragedy, the snow, the ice, this, that, and we're hoping for clear weather and a good day on March 10th, so Jody can be there.
Right.
And finally, Father Chuck Walker. I think everybody knows Father Chuck around the community, who's retired now and is residing in E-Town as a retired priest, but a great, God bless life of service to the church, and we're loving to honor him for his great works. And then finally, we have our outstanding Catholic school educator, which is Debbie Tucker at St. Rita. A 21-year teacher. I know Debbie. We do a lot of school visits out at St. Rita, and I always make a point to go into Debbie's classroom when I'm touring out there for sure. Yeah. And finally, my friend Mike Polio.
Oh, yeah.
Mike is the retired senior athletic director at the University of Louisville. And what people don't know a lot about is that Mike, in the early 90s, raised the money to build Cardinal Football Stadium.
Did he really?
And also the money that built Owsley Frazier Cardinal Park all the way along 65. So all that money, which at the time I think was a couple $100 million in total. Okay. Mike's a big fundraiser and did a whole lot for this town.
He's a heck of a basketball coach too.
Yeah, and we can't wait to honor Mike for all that he's done for young people in his career.
What about the keynote, Rich? I know a lot of people are excited about this.
Yeah, Adri Trigiani. Adri is a Catholic school kid. She actually grew up in Appalachia. I think she's one of 7 kids. She graduated from St. Mary's College across from Notre Dame. And she's been a TV writer, a playwright, a play director, a movie director. She's written 21 best-selling books that have been translated into something like 30 languages around the world. I mean, she's an incredibly accomplished woman. I can't believe she's going to take the time to do this, and I love her for it. And she'll be a great speaker because one of the things she talks about, she has a podcast entitled "You Are What You Read," and it's nationally followed. And she gets a lot of people on her show of some acclaim, obviously. And she asked them about not just what they do in their lives, but about their faith. So she's a faith-filled woman. She loves her Catholic faith, and she can't wait to come to Louisville to light up that night. It's going to be awesome.
Fantastic! Get your tickets now.
Amen.
That sounds
yeah.
phenomenal.
We're gonna sell out. So if you're gonna buy tickets, do it quick.
Katie, Rich mentioned earlier that we're going to get into your family a little bit more. Your husband David and 3 children, we heard a little bit of what you had going on before you even came over here today. I mean, so how in the world do you keep up with a senior position the way that you have in the community's largest healthcare system, and then raise a family?
Yeah, I laugh at that because I asked David and he said, "Let me answer that question, not you." So I do not worry. I know that sounds like an odd, very basic thing. I don't spend a lot of time on worrying about things.
Okay.
Obviously, I attend to them, but then I move on.
Is that a skill that you've developed over time, or is that
maybe so? So it's that it has to be productive.
Okay.
So really, most of our day, and this is like at work too, most of it has to be productive movement. It can be productively relaxing, productively exercising, but just really asking yourself, am I moving in the forward direction? If I'm spending a lot of time worrying, that's probably not the case. So he was like, yeah, that's about right. But realistically, he is a phenomenal support. He is a chemical engineer. He's originally from Texas. Probably could have him on here. He did not grow up in the Catholic school system, but he's probably the biggest supporter in our family. He saw what has happened with the kids, and he just is like, "This, we got to get this secret out.
Yeah.
People need to understand what this was." I didn't know it, and he's been able to watch it firsthand. So he is through the eyes of like the innocent.
Yeah.
It's been really cool listening to him talk about it. But yeah, so we just balance it. My mom and dad don't live far away. I'm lucky to live by my parents.
Yeah.
They're in their 80s, but they still help support and pick the kids up. And also, if you really want to think about, I always tell people when they're asking me, Catholic school, public school, educators are great everywhere. As a working mother, I have really appreciated having the community behind the school. I don't worry about it. I know there are people around, and I know that they're being taken care of.
Yeah, that's the community is a huge piece of what this Catholic school system is having, it takes a village, right? And having that village at all these different parishes is pretty amazing.
For sure.
Your leadership role at the hospital has got to feel 24/7, right?
Oh.
I mean, I would think.
Mm-hmm. All healthcare is, but yes, hospital leadership is 24/7. I was telling, now this was new, right? I've always taken care of patients at night and been on call and responded to emergencies, but I was telling Russ Cox, as our CEO, and a few of the other leaders, that when I took this position, I should have asked for a building disclosure. Because I had not taken care of a building before. And the building is something's leaking 24 hours.
Yeah.
And so I have spent a tremendous amount of time with our engineering team. I have an all new appreciation for really everyone that is behind the scenes and making sure our patients are well taken care of. But yes, 24/7 clinically, and water main and leaking roofs and you name it, water heaters. I
wouldn't even have thought about that. I mean, like,
me either. So that's but I absolutely love it. It's great. I never drive up to work and think, here we go again.
Okay.
Every day, always looking forward to it.
Katie, what are some of the accomplishments in your life that you're most proud of?
Let's see. I'm probably going to break this down to like the head, the body, and maybe like the spirit.
Okay.
Basically say it that way. From a body standpoint, a physical standpoint, Boston Marathon.
Ooh.
Run the Boston Marathon.
Nice.
Wow.
And I was in my 40s, so something again in the middle of it, I was like, why didn't I do this when I was 32? But that was a real feat, and as you get older, it becomes very mental. I said it was a physical feat, but it becomes a mental feat. So I still have a couple that I want to do.
Okay.
I want to do an international marathon. So I've got to time the training of it. It takes 6+ months to train well for it, but that was a great accomplishment. I would say, like, on the soul or the spirit, it really is your children and your family. I grew up, or when the kids were growing up, I always had in our house, there was one rule. or one thing that I expected from them, is that they were going to be nice people.
Mm-hmm.
I kept it very basic. I do joke around now, and I should have said to Nick, and do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been like, be nice and do your homework.
Right.
But, he is the nicest guy in the world, and it's an accomplishment. My children are just always do the right thing by
That's
other
fantastic.
people. Yeah, their character is great. And David and I both worked hard on just making sure that they were nice, good humans.
Sure.
And they're talented, smart, and athletic, and all the other things. But really, let's face it, that's what was most important to me.
Amen.
And then the head is my professional accomplishment. Being a nurse practitioner, you mentioned it early, is similar to a physician.
Yep.
But when I started that, it was complicated. Patients weren't sure what nurse practitioners were doing. Physicians weren't exactly sure how to use them.
Mm-hmm.
Healthcare systems weren't exactly sure how to use them. Couldn't even go to the lounge, just to kind of tell you. It was a physician lounge. And so really cracking into that and watching and advocating for my peers and my profession. And that was one of the jobs that I held at Norton Healthcare. It was oversighting all of the advanced practice providers, which we now have 800.
Oh, wow.
It's not a small amount of APPs that are practicing and delivering care, but watching that has been a huge accomplishment. And I've been so proud of the quality of care that they've delivered and really access to care for patients that need it. So, yeah.
All right. Well, what's next in your career?
Okay. When they asked me to take a look at this position, I thought women's hospital. Cardiac surgery was my clinical background.
Okay.
I have passion for being in the operating room, could really lean into those patients and see that. And I thought, what am I? Women's care, although it is a hospital that serves birth to death men and women, it is the only women's hospital in the state of Kentucky. So I would like to really put my mark on that. I've met with certain politicians. How can we change women's health in Kentucky? I think we're ranked 36th in the country. So in the bottom half of how women do as far as cancer care, obstetrics, all of the above. And I am going to, once I get the building taken care of, I'm going to do everything in my power to change women's health in Kentucky. So for now, that's what's on the horizon.
All right, let's go. You got me pumped up.
Yep.
Speaking of careers, Rich, you're in your second one here. 12 years at the foundation.
Unbelievable.
Did you ever dream that the foundation could have the impact it does today? When you first started?
You just woke up and then there you are.
Yeah, I want to thank the board for their support. First of all, they really all along the way, and we've had our ups and downs, but mostly ups. And their support has meant everything to me and our team, so much appreciated there for sure. I tell people when I started the foundation, I really wanted to do it. It was a sort of a second career thing. I really didn't have a plan,
right?
Exactly how that was going to roll. And, by the grace of God, this thing just unfolded and it got bigger and the demand went up. And a big player in that thing was Archbishop Kurtz.
Yeah.
Because when I started in 2014, that was the first year the diocese sort of unfolded a new school plan in which all of our parishes would put up some money for tuition assistance, whether they had a school or not.
Right.
And that at the time, and he led that effort at the time, that doubled our funding overnight.
Okay.
And that really kind of catapulted the whole thing to where it is today. So we've been, look, by the grace of God and our donors, we've had a lot of success, but without them, none of this would have happened. And what gives me the most joy is visiting a school, and we try to do that as often as we can, just to walk in the classroom. In some of these schools, like a St. Rita, for example, where Debbie Tucker's at, we're supporting 90% of the kids in that building.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So if you walk into a classroom, you kind of look around and you go, these are all CEF kids. How proud am I of that?
Sure.
And just to see the smiles on their faces, the energy, it's just incredible. And at that school, it's about 60% Hispanic. 10 years ago, there weren't hardly any Hispanics in the school. So that whole transformation has happened in 10 years. And we were a part of that for sure. But to see these kids get their shot, I think, at what I call the American dream is absolutely awesome.
Katie, I'm going to go off script here for a second because I want your opinion on something. And I'm going to give a quick personal story. My son at Ascension, his best friend, Luis, got up in front of the class in 6th grade and said, hey, the last day of school is going to be, I'm not going to be able to come back. My family can't afford it. I love being here. Everybody cries. My son comes home, tells me. I immediately call Rich, and Rich goes, no, we're going to fix that. And lo and behold, Luis graduated from Ascension, was there the next 2 years.
Yeah.
What I think people don't understand, even, and you mentioned Holy Trinity, what I think people don't understand that, yeah, okay, St. Rita, 90% of the kids are fun in there. We understand that. That makes sense. But there's kids that wouldn't be in these classrooms at all the schools.
All the schools.
Right.
If it wasn't for the CEF. And what I think we really need people to understand is even your Holy Trinity people, your kid's best friend might not be there if the CEF wasn't there to support them. And supporting the CEF the way you can goes a long way for just every community.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I would add to that if you don't, the generosity, the thing that I spoke about earlier, that is infectious, and your children are watching.
That's right.
And so I always look at it, and they know that we're generous. I was given opportunities growing up, and they will move forward and hopefully do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a continuation. It doesn't stop there. Little sidebar story. My daughter's at St. Louis University, and the stadium is named after a gentleman who, and that's a Jesuit university. It was named after a gentleman who went under the same thing, couldn't afford to complete, and he called and he said, "Hey, if you guys will help me support my education for the last 2 years of this schooling, I will give it back." And he went on and did wonderful, great things.
Unbelievable.
And he sent it all back to build the. So I think that it just really is something I think that people don't recognize.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic. So to kind of piggyback on that, Katie, what would you say to a young couple here in Louisville who are trying to navigate the education pathway for their first child? And I think your perspective is interesting because you have a husband that was a complete third party in this, did not come up through the system and did not have the same experiences. So I'd love to know your answer to that.
So I'll take you back to when David and I first had this conversation. He was like, "Why?" Okay, I turned out fine.
Public schools, I'm assuming.
Public school, yeah. And I said, "You did," but back to that community piece. And so for him, it was trusting. He had faith in what I was saying, which really is back to rooted. That's our foundation. You got to have some faith. Some of it is blind decision. You go in and you hope that you've made the right decision. And so he followed along with that and trusted. And so what I would tell a parent or a woman, and this or a man, a family that comes up, and this happens often. I always say there is a place for every kid, and every kid has a place. And I think within the Catholic school system, the Catholic education system, as we were discussing, my siblings went to Meredith Dunn, but now we have the option for Clifton campus at Holy Trinity. So proud. I was a part of that fundraiser when we were moving on that.
Yeah.
And I just think there really is no other place that can't meet all needs now.
Right.
And so we have evolved. I mean, thanks to what you were just saying, what the Catholic Education Foundation has been able to do to support children. And so I always tell them, lean into the community, interview people, shadow different experiences, different places. Obviously, if they're a part of a parish, it's a little bit more of an easier. They know the community, but don't stop there.
Yeah.
Don't stop there. If we are such a unique place,
right?
And we have so many choices.
Yeah.
I mean, so many choices of grade schools. Think of the high school. I think back I could have gone to 5 different places, and
your family did.
We did, yeah, exactly. But that is unique, and so it's something special that they can get want to be a part of, and it will, like you said earlier, resonate back. Really, it'll impact your entire life.
I love it. Rich, with all this healthcare talk, I'd be remiss not to ask you this question. On the last podcast with Chief Humphrey, we talked about how the foundation lends a hand to our first responders in this community. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we did. We sort of did a study through a grant application, and the question was, in your work to provide tuition assistance, how many families do you impact where one or both of the parents in the household are a first responder, or active military, retired military, and the like? And we didn't know the answer to that, so we dug into the data, and it was really interesting that we gave out. The year we studied, we had about $8 million in scholarships that we gave out in 1 year. And within that $8 million, about $1 million of that were scholarships dedicated to, I think, almost 600 kids.
Wow.
Whose parent or parents had some first responder employment. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, we should certainly do our part for those families, given what they do for us.
Absolutely.
And we want to do more of it. So we're a big advocate for folks in this community that work so hard for us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Katie, last thing here. Let's talk a little bit about how you and your family give back to the community. It seems like you're everywhere. So Holy Trinity, Bellarmine, Spalding. Where do you guys get involved?
We really do make it a family thing. And at Holy Trinity, David and I both do youth coaching. We coach various sports. He still plays volleyball, and so he likes to take on the girls' volleyball.
I love it.
Basketball, I like doing basketball, soccer, and the running sports. I also do some basic things. I clean the church. I like that. It's quiet. It's behind the scenes, so really filling in some of the non-people facing service-based things. We both are commissioners of our have sat as commissioners of our small city.
Interesting.
Those are not elected officials.
That are not, and so anywhere from waste management, and really neighborly and community-based events. He and I both have been involved in that. Thanks to my dad. My dad has always been a big service-based. My mom, too. They both are service-based, but we collect meals. Used to do Meals on Wheels, collect meals for people during holidays, and we take the children and we go to the grocery store and we purchase those and really deliver those. Also participate in what used to be Repair Fair or Habitat for Humanity.
Wow.
Really giving back in those ways also. So I think one of the things you mentioned earlier, another attribute is just always, if someone needs something, we always say yes. And we always want to step in and help. And so all it is making us aware. And typically it's not hard to get us to fill in.
Rich knows all about that slogan there.
Yeah, we do.
That's my OR slogan. People, I'm like, guys, we say yes. If patients need us, we say yes.
You bet.
And Katie, fun fact for you, the CSAA in sports would not exist the way it does without the support from the Catholic Education Foundation.
Yeah.
So it's all one big circle. It all just kind of gives back. And
that's cool. Yeah.
Well, it's like we all talk about. Community is what really matters.
That's right.
That's the driver here, is people wanting to be part and a meaningful part of a community that matters to them. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Katie, your story is truly outstanding, and certainly no wonder that the foundation is honoring you. So thank you for joining us today. And on behalf of everyone at the foundation, thank you for your great leadership and the example that you set for others to follow in their lives. So Katie, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. God bless you.
And Rich, as every Catholic school family in need now knows, at the Catholic Education Foundation,
the answer is yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. You're the best.
Thank you so much.